Let us check how to create a Azure SQL Server and an SQL database from the Azure portal. So I have already logged into the Azure portal. So let us check it out, SQL database. So just type SQL database, so it will show over here, SQL database. So let us create a new SQL database, which you have seen I have already created earlier. So we will create a new one here. And resource group name, we have it is selected SQL database MO, otherwise you can create a new one here. Database name, I'm giving it as test, we'll give it as test database 1. And location, server name, we will create a new server so that we can understand how to create a new server for the SQL database. I have already created one, that is the reason it shows an existing one. And presently we will create a new one for learning purpose. So server name I'm giving as SQL Server 1. Location, let it be West Europe. I'm selecting it as West Europe. Okay. Yes, the specified one will not be taken. It will accept only the lowercase letters. So SQL Server, I'm naming it as SQL Server. So SQL Server is already in use, so we cannot use that. SQL Server test. Okay. This is already in use, so we cannot use test. So let us use SQL Server machine. Is that fine? Yeah, SQL Server machine is fine. So location is West Europe. And authentication method, you can either use SQL authentication or both SQL and Azure AD authentication. I am using only SQL authentication. For as it is a lab environment, I am using SQL authentication. In the production, you can use both Azure AD authentication and the SQL. Server admin login. So we have to give an admin login. So I'm giving as a SQL admin. In the production environment, you should give some strong name, unguessable name you should provide over here. Password also should be strong. So I'm giving here a password from, yes, that is accepted. So I'm giving a new, confirming the password. Okay, so password is confirmed and clicking OK. So server is created in the name of SQL Server Mission. Okay. Now on to SQL Elastic Pool. Elastic Pool in the sense, we will check here. Elastic Pool provides a simple and cost-effective solution for managing the performance of multiple database within fixed budget. We do not require multiple database, so we are giving it as no. And work on environment or production environment. If it is in the production environment, we have to select this. Certainly, I'm selecting only development. That means you can see a huge difference here in the cost wise. If you are selecting production, you see nearly 250 USD per month. If you go for a development, it is just just 5 to 6 USD. Okay, so we are selecting development here. So if it is in the production environment, keep selecting production. General purpose, here you can select the storage space. Again, if it is core wise, it will be again costly. You can go with DTU and you can select a basic one. And so I'm just selecting standard. And DTU, it is 10. I'm keeping it as 100. And production database size, again, I'm keeping it as some 100 GB. So 147 US dollar for all this. So I don't want such a big database and all. As it is a lab environment, I'm keeping it as 2 GB, and it doesn't require DTU for 100. Let it be 10 itself. So see, the amount is less to 14 US dollar. So let it be. I'm clicking on apply. So compute and storage we have already selected. Let it be locally redundant. You can, if it requires on or geo, you can select it out. So that much redundancy will be available. Next, networking, we have to select public environment. As it a live and as it a lab environment, I'm selecting at public. In your case, you may have to sometime, if it is a production, then we have to create private and you have to create the network security group and all accordingly. network virtual network control accordingly. Here I'm giving as current IP address yes, and no other changes. When you get into security, there is enable Microsoft Defender for SQL, not required now. Ledger again, if it required, you can create the ledger. Now it isn't required. Types, additional settings. Let it create a sample database. So I'm giving a sample over here. Next tag is not required. I'm reviewing and creating it. So let us create it. So creation, it is reviewing it and start creating. It may take some 1 to 2 minutes. Either I should pause it right now and we'll get back to you. Yes, we are back. So the deployment is complete. You can see all the resources here. See all these resources has been created in the back. So now we have to search uh, SQL servers. So as an SQL server is created, so we'll just search SQL servers. So presently you can see two server. This is the one which we have created right now. So SQL server machine. I'm clicking on that, and here you can see the database which is created. Test database one. It is already being created here. Test database one. Yeah. So you can see the test database. Now we'll see whether we are able to connect to this test database one. So I have already downloaded and installed the SQL Studio. So SQL, yeah, SQL Management Studio is there. So I'm just run as administrator. Yes. So here we have to give the server name. Actually, the server name we should get it from the. This is a server name. From that SQL database, you select the database, which is tested database, which you have created. So tested database one, this is a server name. You have to copy the entire full name and copy it. And we have to come over here and paste it. And which authentication is required? Windows authentication, SQL Server authentication. We have going with or Azure AD Active Directory, Azure Active Directory. So there are many other options. We are going with SQL Server authentication, and the ID we have given as SQL admin, and I'm giving the password. Okay, and connected. So yes, so it is connected. So we are in the in cloud database, Azure SQL database, which is created, and it is showing the database here and the tables. All the details are available. Okay, that's it. So this is the way how we can create an SQL database in Azure SQL Server in the cloud. So thanks for watching. We'll meet you in another video.